You are listening to a Called Collective podcast where we seek to equip the next generation of ministry leaders. The Called Collective produces multiple podcasts, which you can find in the description below. To learn more about the Called Collective, visit our website at thecalledcollective.org or check us out on Instagram at The Called Collective.
What's up, guys? This is Coffee and Calling, where we just chat over coffee. I'm one of your co-hosts, Isaac.
I am Noah Yearout, and thank you so much. Sit back, enjoy, and come along for the ride. We're back. Well, we are back with another episode. Isaac, it's been kind of a busy couple weeks. How you been, man?
Yeah, it's been busy, but it's been good. You know, for me, tennis is picking up, so that's a lot of fun. Learning a lot in classes. Looking forward to spring break though. I'm
Oh
not gonna lie.
man, that date is just kind of like circled in my mind, and all
Yeah.
I can think about right now is
And we're getting out a little earlier for us with master's classes.
Woo, it's true.
So that's good. And you get to go back to that Dust Bowl.
That is true. I get to be Dusty again. Go back to Oklahoma and man, eat dust all the time.
That's good. That's good. But who do we have today?
You know, we have none other than a really good friend, prayer warrior, actually.
Prayer warrior, the luscious locks, kind of like Trevor
everything
Lawrence.
in between. Micah Korhorn.
Micah Korhorn.
What's up?
Micah.
Ooh.
Wow.
Just give a quick introduction for the people listening of who you are.
Yep, Micah Korhorn. I am a sophomore youth ministry major here. I am not an athlete here, but I soak up all the intramurals that I can. Let's see. Post Hodson resident, current Chem resident. And that is the foundation of my life here at Indiana Wesleyan
I have
University.
one question.
Go for it.
This is all I care about for this podcast. In intramurals, have you been in a fight or almost
No.
gotten into one?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Have you seen one?
I've seen some pushing and shoving.
Okay.
I've seen some mad players. Some dude tripped over me the other week, and he seemed pretty mad. But like, I don't know. That's the closest thing I've gotten to violence.
That's incredible.
Micah may be one of the most passive people I've met,
Passive?
while also at the same time, like passive in the sense of not aggressive. You know what I mean? But in the moment when something crosses something he believes, he's like, hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up.
It's more
we
like
gotta change.
the pacifist mentality, right?
I don't
But
like.
not passive. Because passive just allowing things to just happen, you know, men and women. We're supposed to be active. Passive is just leads to sin. So thanks for calling him out.
I just
on
find
that.
the happy medium.
Conviction.
Passive aggressive. That's where I go to.
No,
I'm
but
just kidding.
Micah, we're so pumped to have you on here. And as you can tell, I mean, we like to have a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Good relation here. But yeah, we're here to talk about your calling and what God has done. And so to find the truth and the beauty in that it reveals of God's character and his heart for people listening. So
Yeah.
without further ado, will you just take us there?
Take us there, man.
Yeah. As
Definitely can.
far back as you want and as much detail.
All right. Yeah. So, like I said, youth ministry major. That has not been a short time coming. My dad was a youth pastor when I was born. Youth pastor for first 10 years of my life, I believe. He's currently a discipleship pastor, but so youth ministry has been in my life for a long time. Ministry has been in my family line. I've got a grandpa who's a pastor, was a youth pastor at some point. So ministry has always been just sort of a foundation. But as a kid, I thought I was going to be youth pastor because it's just what my dad did, and I was always hanging out with him at the youth group events. So I played games with them and all that stuff. It just seemed fun, seemed cool. Get to hang out with teenagers, get to play games. So I was going to be a youth pastor. Let's see. So then I stepped into high school, and I had this weird period where it wasn't necessarily rebellion against what my dad was doing, because me and him never had like issues or anything, but I was just like, I want to go away from the status quo. I don't want to be a youth pastor because I don't want to look like I'm just following in my dad's footsteps, So I thought about opening my own barbershop at one point. I cut yeah.
Barber shop?
I cut hair for my dad, my brother a couple times, a couple friends. I cut my own hair. And
Hey,
and I was like, this is gonna be a thing. I even
not for a minute though. You haven't cut it.
I had an interview. Yeah, obviously that's changed. But I had
Praise
an
God.
interview with some dude from a barbershop, and he was gonna tell me what type of clippers I should buy and all that stuff. So I was in for about 3 months, and then I realized one day it's just gonna be me every single day, up and down, cutting hair, and I was like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. So then my mind went to like, okay, maybe like exercise science, like I like working out, or like, and as a kid, I want to be like a NFL player in 6th grade. I want to be an NBA player in 8th grade. I want to be a professional golfer in high school. We see where I am today. I
Not
yep.
intramural legend.
Nada. I stick to the intramurals. But so it just got to this point where I was like, bro, there's nothing else I could see myself doing every day for the rest of my life other than youth ministry that would make me feel like somewhat passionate about it. And so it sort of came from like having that foundation of like possibly youth ministry and stepping away from that, but then realizing like, no, like youth ministry is the one thing I could see myself going to day by day and having some sort of like passion and desire there. Like I saw purpose there. I mean, and I'm sure you guys can relate to that of like, it's going to be different week by week. It's going to be different challenges, new students to talk to, new kids, every year you bring in you graduate old students, you bring in new students. It's just like, there's going to be so much change. There's going to be so many challenges. And like, while I know there's going to be a lot of difficult challenges, I just know how much it's going to challenge me too. So like, it started with me just being like, this is what I could see myself doing week by week, and actually having like a desire and a passion for and enjoy it. I don't want to go to my job every day and just be waiting until I can leave. I want to see the passion in it. So I saw that there. And then it goes deeper to where throughout high school, I personally struggled with the battle of being a Christian in a public school, and really always having that battle between my faith and wanting to like live for God, but also like wanting to be a part of the world. And so there's always a draw to just be a part of what everybody else is doing, cussing, drinking, smoking, whatever it may be. And then there's also that draw of like the conviction anytime I did like start walking away from the Lord, that conviction. So I had that internal wrestle. And then I also had the internal wrestle of trying to impress other people and find my identity in other people. Sophomore year was the worst year of high school for me, because I remember going to school on days with like this goal in mind. I'm going to try exceptionally hard to put myself out there and talk to the coolest people, in my opinion, who I thought were the coolest people and that sort of thing. And just like, which instead, one, didn't make me any cooler. It didn't make people like me anymore. Actually, it caused them to, like, they could recognize how much I was trying.
Yeah,
And
desperate.
then, they could
Jeez.
see the desperation by sophomore year. And then it just caused so much more insecurity. And like, I was trying to find my identity in what people thought about me. And so then like junior, senior year, it got better. I found better friends, and I started like growing my faith a little bit more. That's when I received my calling to youth ministry, and it got better. But then I started looking back, and my passion comes from understanding my struggles in high school, with insecurity, and that being a Christian in a public school and in a world that really pushes for things that aren't necessarily in the Christian standard, and I feel like high school, middle school, those teenage years are like the most foundational and transformational years of somebody's lives. And I think that, like, statistically that can even be proven. And it's like I believe I want to be a part of helping kids understand like what I've went through, because I know it firsthand, and like helping them to see that they do not need to find their identity in others, or just in anything else, but like just that day-to-day battle of being a Christian in public school and like trying to find your identity elsewhere. So that's where my passion is, like really wanting to help kids in that time where they can be transformed. They're trying to figure out who they are, trying to figure out who they are in Christ.
Mm.
And I would say
Wow.
that's my passion going into it now, is just like knowing my struggle and not wanting to see others struggle that same way, or like as they struggle, being somebody there firsthand for them to help them.
Yeah, that That's a theme in a lot of people's lives. I mean, even in the secular world too, when you talk to people of like why they, a lot of people say, um, want to go into social work is because a lot of the things that people are struggling with there is something that they struggle with,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be
Yeah.
counselors or
Yeah.
something like that. Not all the times. I'm not saying that has to be the
True.
case.
Right.
But then I also know people in the Christian world where it's like your testimony, a lot of times the belief is, man, I go through something so that way when somebody
Mm-hmm.
is going through the same thing, I can walk alongside them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
from my story with the injury from sports, there's so many people here that like somebody texted me the other day and was like, "Hey, can I send you a contact to reach out because they're going through what you went through?"
Mhm.
And I just think that'd be cool. Like it's a beautiful thing to see
Yeah.
where things were most formative in our lives. Sometimes the hardest things
Yeah.
is what exactly like God wants to use in our lives
for
to
sure.
to help others that are in that as well to point to God.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, as I've grown in my passion of sexuality, like educating people on biblical sexual ethics, like it came out of a lack of when I was growing up. And there's situations where, and Isaac and I talked about this, to where Isaac will have someone talk to them and be like, "Hey, like I'm struggling with this in my relationship or whatever," and you're like, "Go talk to Noah," like,
Yeah.
not because Isaac's not equipped to answer that, but because like it's family fruits, bro. Like if
Mhm.
there's certain
Mhm.
things that Isaac is passionate about and really good at talking about, I'm be like, "Go talk to Isaac." Like I can't do justice to what Isaac's been through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was also thinking like with your call ministry, you mentioned like you said junior year, right? Your call ministry, that's kind of when it happened.
Yeah. About junior year.
Was it one of those snap of a finger, oh God just said, boom, you're in ministry, or was it like a progressive kind of call, if that makes sense?
Yeah. It was definitely more progressive. Like I said, going from a kid wanting to be youth ministry, sort of stepping away from that, and it just slowly through progress of realizing there's nothing else I
Mm,
see myself doing for the rest of my life,
yeah.
coming back to youth ministry. And I think that came with also me growing closer to the Lord in my own walk of faith. I think youth ministry came along with that,
Mm.
So,
That makes sense.
Mm.
So after your junior year of high school, you still had your senior year. What
Mhm.
was that senior year like?
still a struggle at times, but it was the best year of high school for me because while there were moments of insecurity or moments where I could see myself trying a little too hard to be with people who or like impress people or whatever, it was not nearly as much as my sophomore year. And I honestly I stopped trying to be with be liked by people who honestly I shouldn't want to be accompanied with because
Mhm.
they weren't going to be good influences on me. And that's
Right.
one realization I came to. I was like, I'm trying to I'm trying to impress and be friends with these people who are just going to be terrible influences on me and my faith. Like I don't want that. So I stopped trying. I found the few people who were also Christians or at
Mhm.
least like pretty good moral people who weren't going to push me in the wrong direction. I just hung out with them, the people who made me feel most comfortable in my
Wow.
own skin, and I just started hanging out with them. And my senior year was just so much more freeing and fun, and I felt like I was finally living out my Christian faith in a public school in a way where I wasn't going against my own conscience and convictions. It wasn't always perfect, but majority of the time I was able to like go to school every day without like I knew where I wanted to be. I had
Mhm.
a sense of direction at that point. Sophomore year, I was still finding myself. Senior year, I had a sense of direction. I want to be youth ministry. I'm going to pursue my relationship with the Lord, not people, and it changed a lot.
Dang, that's so good. And it's kind of funny um, when we look at all the things that we pursue, and so many times, like, why would I even want to pursue that? Like, if I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
that, it wouldn't even be good.
Hmm.
And I thought of when you're talking about the group of friends, it's like bad company corrupts good character,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
you know. Um, and so that's a lot of like you look at thing we're talking about like Old Testament times and um, why the Lord didn't want them to um, get married to like women of other nations and stuff. It's not necessarily to do with race or ethnicity, but the sake of their culture and their
Mm.
community would corrupt the people of God.
Hmm.
And so that's a beautiful thing. But what's that one quote that talks about, my biggest fear is to succeed or get all the things that don't matter in life?
Mm.
You know what I mean? At all the
Mm.
wrong things. So That's amazing. Now talk about your transition. Like you're going to youth ministry. Um, when you were coming into college here, you're coming here, right?
Hmm.
What expectations did you have that were met and ones that were changed when you came here? Disappointing or exciting? Like what all was that like?
Yeah. Um, I think the biggest surprise and sort of almost frustration a little bit was how many books I had to read. And not being one who loves to read books, I was like, oh man, in my youth ministry, am I going to be expected to read like books every single day? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Is that what it's
for
going to
real.
be? And like, yes and no is what the conclusion I've come to is. But I've learned, okay, with the books, I've learned like there's so many good books. I've grown into like being like, wow, there's some like smart people out there who wrote some good books. And
You could gain something from
yeah,
this.
you could gain something from those. So at first, I was like, dang, like this is a lot. Could I do this? And luckily, I've grown into being like, yeah, I think I can. I think I can.
Mm.
Um, and also, like in high school, originally it was, how I talked about coming from my insecurities or whatever. So there's a sense of like wanting to help people in their insecurities and stuff. And it went from more of like me being there for like as their counselor or like therapist sort of thing to realizing that I needed to have like a secure faith of my own and be grounded in my own faith, biblically and theologically and stuff like that, so that I have that good, strong foundation. And it's not like my foundation is theology, but like my foundation is Christ. But at least having that ground through my Bible classes and all that of that, the knowledge, the wisdom from the readings and from the professors, that has allowed me to see that that's going to be so beneficial when I am, say, counseling my students through the issues and stuff. It's much more than just therapy. It's me pointing them in every scenario back to Christ through what I'm learning here.
So it's kind of changed from I remember the stereotype like when I was interning at my church, and it was just like, yeah, youth pastors just pizza and video games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I could do that for my life, you know?
Yeah.
But then coming here and realizing, oh shoot, like we need to be
Yeah.
biblically grounded,
Mhm.
knowing what this says, and we're not just there just to be counselors, listen to your life and helping give motivational speeches or something like that, but
Yeah.
biblical truths. And so I hear this tension of like thinking about just practically helping people live
Yeah.
versus like this education side that we get taught here. And so
Yeah.
what have you learned has been like super beneficial from coming to school to be a minister? Because I think there's a lot of people who question the value of coming to school to be a minister and to go out and do practical work in the church. So
Yeah.
has your experience been good
Mm.
and negative?
Mm.
Like what are the positives of coming to college and learning, and maybe some of the negatives as well that you've experienced?
I mean, not to step on the negatives first at all, but I mean, like, there's obviously some times where it's like you feel like you can be so consumed by the amount of schoolwork you have and the busyness of it that you forget that you're like you're a missionary right now,
Mm.
to where it can be easy to look 2 years from now and be like, I'm gonna be youth pastor in 2 years, and then I'll start pouring into the lives of teenagers and stuff. And it can be easy to get caught up in that and forget like right now I need to be doing things
Wow.
as well.
Hmm.
That's a negative. So like, yeah, just being too consumed by the amount of schoolwork or becoming almost idolizing the ministry classes you're in and getting all this knowledge when you need to be like also using that like right here and now, not just for the future. But then there's so many positives. I mean, I've learned so much just in all of my ministry classes, just whether that be knowledge wise or just like seeing how the professors are able to take their knowledge, but also just be so real in the classrooms and
Mm,
be so
true.
one-on-one and relational with their
Mm.
students. And yeah, some of the professors, I'm like, they're like teaching us so much, but I feel like I have a relationship with them. I feel like I can laugh with them
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And I'm able to see the practicality they live out of like so much. I know they have so much knowledge up here, but they're just so like relational with
Yeah.
us.
To see like theology and you understand the Bible and go into your head, but then understand how it affects people's hearts and how they actually live.
Yeah.
The professors here do an amazing job at
Yeah.
that. And so, yeah, that's a shout out to like IWU and the professors
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Love it. And I've heard so many things. Like we come to class and I have a personal relationship with every single professor I have.
Yeah.
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 I can get coffee with them. I can share what I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
And it's like not academics. It's
Yeah.
them hearing my heart. They have
Yeah.
such
Mm.
pastors' hearts. And so I talk to my friends at bigger schools and I'm like, yeah, my professors don't even know my name.
It's just a number.
And I'm like, they know about my story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they ask me about my family and about tennis and about my girlfriend and all these things. And it's
Yeah.
they show you how academics and the practicality and theology and just your love for people and pastor's heart can
Yeah.
all work together.
Yeah. And you mentioned a negative, and you said that the schoolwork sometimes is kind of frustrating, right? Something I've thought about in college is I'm glad we have those quote unquote weed out classes in ministry, because I don't want to put someone through a program where they learn how to be a pastor to be in ministry for 3 years and realize, oh, actually I'm not called to this.
Mm.
Like this is not what I'm supposed to do
Yeah.
in my life, right? And so I'm grateful for those harder classes and for the workload sometimes.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm like, gosh, I have to do another assignment. You know what I mean? Like I just want to go out there and do it. But
Yeah.
I think there is some beauty in that grind. Like it does teach you a lot. And
Mhm.
something else that we like to ask people on this podcast is advice, because everyone's story is different. As you've like, yours is very different than Isaac and I's and from
Mhm.
everybody else that's been on this podcast. And we all have different perspectives on things. And so what's like a piece of advice that you would give to either someone that's going to pursue ministry, someone that's in ministry, or people that have been in ministry for a long time? Like what's a piece of advice that you would give to them?
It's tough.
I think a good way to frame it is just think about your life and what's the truth God has taught you.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me has been the people in my life, surrounding myself with people like you two and like my roommates and stuff who I can go to if I'm struggling. But I can also go to if good things are happening and I just want to talk about the awesome things that are going on. People who push me in my faith and pray for me and challenge me. I think that's been the most beneficial thing, is just who you surround yourself with. And junior, senior year, I surrounded myself with better people, and that's when things started to change. So yeah, I truthfully think if I didn't have like solid Christians in my life, solid friends in my life who push me on my faith, but also have just like a great friendship with me, I don't know
Yeah.
where I'd be right now, but for God putting them in my life.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's the simple truth of community.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
created for community,
Yeah.
And a lot of things that the early church did was in community. They were sent out in two with the disciples as well,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
doing life with one another. And I love what you said, like mourn with those who mourn and celebrate with those who celebrate. It's so
Hmm.
one of my favorite things is having those people where I know I want to tell them something that's awesome that's gone in my life,
Mhm.
something amazing, because they'll celebrate with me and not see it as like a look at this blessing I have as like some prideful thing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
I just want to celebrate with people, but those same people are ones that I can go to.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
And-
this sucks. And it's not a pity party. It's them being able to just sit there with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to add into that, I think when it comes to that, to finding those people, one, it takes praying, just like ask the Lord to bring people like that into your life, but it also takes intentionality. You can't just like sit back and expect somebody to come
True,
up to you
true.
and be like, hey, do you want to be my friend? And I'll pray for you. And like, we're just gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
Most times those don't work.
if you're intentional about the type of people you want to be with, eventually you're going to get to a point where you are able to find some solid Christian friends, but it takes prayer, asking the Lord to guide you, and then intentionality.
Facts.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this morning. There were 6 of us. So here at Indiana Wesleyan, we have a coffee shop called Macon, and the 6 guys, we gathered for prayer this morning, and then I guess it's 7, and then 1% class, but 6 of us went to Macon afterwards, and we just like circled around a table, and we just had like true joy, like
Yeah.
true fellowship, true community, and it was literally so much fun. Like
It
the
was
stuff
so
that we
funny.
say, the stuff that we do is just so stupid. But it's all like good, clean Christian fun, which I
Yeah.
think is what Mike is kind of hinting at here. Like,
Yeah.
and you mentioned earlier, bad company corrupts good morals. Like that's There's a reason why it's in scripture, right? Like it's truth, right? And so I think that's so completely accurate. And Micah, thank you so much for just taking some time. Oh,
Thank you.
get extra claps. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule and for the lunch hour to come and share about your calling. So for all those that are still listening, thank you. Thank you for staying tuned. We really appreciate it. And we got more episodes coming out soon. So yeah. See you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
Adios.
We'd also like to take a second to thank the School of Theology and Ministry at Indiana Wesleyan University for using their facilities. We want to thank the Call Collective for producing all of our podcasts. The Call Collective seeks to equip the next generation of ministry leaders. To find out more information, visit thecalledcollective.org or check us out on Instagram @thecalledcollective. Thanks for listening again and taking time in your day to have the chance to be formed by the conversations we have over coffee. See you guys next week.